So tell me first, why did you decide to run for office?
You know, it's so funny because 2 weeks before I decided to run, my friend had just asked me, "Are you going to run for anything?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not." And then things changed. So essentially affordability and realizing how the average family probably cannot afford to live in this economy right now, going to the store and having to spend so much on groceries for my 4 children just to maintain their standard usual fare in the kitchen. It was really hard. And so I was looking at my husband thinking, how is everyone else doing this? Like, how is everyone else surviving? I'm talking to my other friends because we're fortunate enough to be a 2-parent household, to be a 2-attorney household, and we're feeling it being tight. I cannot imagine other people in this economy trying to make that work. And then shortly after we had that conversation, the federal government decided to use the SNAP benefits as collateral. And a lot of my clients, a lot of children that I work with rely on those to eat. And at that point, I realized I couldn't afford, and our community couldn't afford, for someone to not really put up a fight for this district.
This district is big. We were talking about it before we started rolling.
Yes.
I mean, the time zones, the border space, the diversity of this district. How has that impacted your campaigning, and what has your strategy been to be able to reach so many different people across this area?
So obviously this district is incredibly large. It spans 26 counties. We have been to all of them, most of them more than once. I'm at an advantage in the sense that my family is located here in Bear, and we also have family and friends in South Texas. So I feel like all of that region is one that I have been navigating on a weekly basis for quite some time, given my job and my appointments from different counties. That wasn't a huge struggle. Making our way up to El Paso was definitely something different that we hadn't been doing on the regular. But fortunately, we have one staff member at this time, and she is critical, and she resides in El Paso. And so we've built a really strong network there that I'm really happy about, with small business owners there and local farmers that I check in with that have now become like my new best friends. And so those personal connections are really, really nice to have, especially when you're dealing with a district this large.
What have you been hearing from voters? What do they want out of, their congressperson?
I think a lot of people, what surprised me most, I think, when I decided to run, is everyone was so excited because they just kept saying, "You're so real." And I was like, yes, I am real. I'm a real mom. I have 4 kids. I'm working, just like everyone else. And so I think that people miss that authenticity, and people that understand their day-to-day problems. I'm paying student loans just like everyone else. We're trying to make our mortgage and get our kids to basketball games on time, and all of those sorts of things that the average American family is having to deal with. And I think people want someone that has to deal with the same problems they have to face in Washington, fighting, because as Ann Richards says, if you're not at the table, you're going to be on the menu. And that's kind of where we find ourselves right now.
What policy areas do you want voters to know that you are going to prioritize if you are elected, or if you make it through this primary, I guess, at this first point?
So first and foremost, it has to be affordability, right? If we can't afford our day-to-day life, if we can't have a decent standard of living for our citizens, then every other part of our society kind of collapse. I've run on a platform of helping happy, healthy families. That's kind of the whole basis of everything that I'm doing, because I believe that happy, healthy families, whatever that looks like, whether that's a mom and a dad and some kids, or someone that has their mother living with them and also is trying to raise a child, or someone that's just trying to be an elderly caretaker to their parent, whatever your happy, healthy family looks like, I want that to be an achievable goal for everyone, and I think that it should be. I think that education is my second priority, because without education, we lose access to the American dream. My father went to school in South Texas when schools were still segregated, and he was only able to attend the school that was for non-minority children because he said the words "thank you" and because he refused to leave. And so because of that, he was able to get a decent education, was able to go on to public community college, able to go on to Texas State University, and then go to law school. And then I was able to go to law school. And so that's how we achieve the American dream. And without access to education, that dies.
So I know this is the primary. Let's say you make it through. Are you confident you could beat a Republican in this district? Why?
I'm very confident in that because I've always been a people person. I love people. I like taking care of people. I like helping people solve their problems. That's why I went into law. but specifically in our area, we live really close to Bernie in Leon Springs, if you know where that is. And I have a lot of Republican mom friends. I have 3 people that voted for Trump last time that are out there knocking on doors for me, calling people, having my sign in their yard ready to go. And so this isn't about party at this point. It's going to be about putting people over politics. And I think that I can win them over.
What do the next couple of weeks look like for you?
They look incredibly busy. Being at the polls, trying to see as many voters as possible, trying to get out those last mailers, those last text messages, those last calls, making sure that everyone's voice is heard and that everyone has a plan to go to the polls and is able to get there to voice their vote.